Welcome to Zaption Tour 5.4 Point Slope Form. In the last lesson, 5.3, we talked about slope-intercept form, and in this lesson, we're going to talk about point-slope form. So here is the essential understanding. You can use the slope of a line and any other point you can find on the line to write and graph an equation of the line. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. And a note down here says that any two equations for the same line are equivalent. So you can have multiple representations of the same line. So let's get into this. There are 5 boxes. Okay, box number 1 is the definition of point slope form of a line. So let's say for example, if I have this line graphed over here, let's say I took this any old generic point, and let's just call that point x1, comma y1. So that's just a point that happens to be on the graph. If I have this point on the graph and I know the slope of this line, so for example, let's say I could calculate the slope as rise over run. So this is my rise and this is my run, so here's my m. As long as I have the slope and any point on the line, I can write point slope form. And here it is for you. It says this. It says y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. So this is point slope form of a line. Let me tell you what all the little pieces are. Okay, let's start with what you already know. M, of course, is the slope of the line. It's calculated as rise over run. That's something that we already know. Okay, the point right here, x1, y1, that's what this is here. This is x1 and this is y1. So this is the point. This is the point on the line, or on the line here. Okay, so that means that the other ones, this x right here and this y, we leave alone. These represent any other point on the line, or the variable. We don't have to worry about those. So these we leave as x and y. The x1 comma y1 is the one that we actually plug in. So again, point slope form is just y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Box number 2 is an example. It says, write the equation in point slope form. Okay, it's telling me that the line is passing through negative 3, 6, and that the slope, which is labeled as m, is equal to negative 5. So we begin, I'll go green for it, we begin by writing point slope form, which is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Then we remember that the negative 3 represents x1 and the 6 represents the y1. Of course, slope is just negative 5, so we plug in what I know. So I'm going to say y minus, which is a value of 6, which is y1, equals the slope, which is negative 5, times x minus x1 is negative 3. Notice I have x minus a negative 3, so I could rewrite this. I'll come over here for the final answer as y minus 6 is equal to negative 5 times x plus 3, because a minus times a minus gives me a plus. And that would be how you do this example. Box number 3 is a you try. So I would like you to write the equation of a line in point slope form that passes through the point 8 comma negative 4 and has a slope of 2/3. Hopefully you got the right answer, but if you didn't, here's the solution. The 8 represents the x1, the negative 4 represents the y1, and of course the slope represents 2/3. So plugging in what I have, I would have y minus negative 4 is equal to the slope, which is 2/3, times x minus 8. Cleaning up this little part right here, y minus negative 4, that becomes y plus 4 is equal to 2/3 times the value of x minus 8. And that is the correct solution. Box number 4 is an example. It says, graph the line y minus 1 equals 2/3 times x minus 2. Now remember that this is in point slope form, so this is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And we know that the point x1 comma y1 is on the graph. So if you look here, right, up in my general equation, it says x minus x1, and x1 is on the graph, and this one says y minus y1, and y1 is on the graph. So I can see here that the point that would be on this graph would be the point 2, comma 1. This represents the x1, and the 1 represents the y1. Notice that they are opposite signs, okay? And then, of course, the m is 2/3, which is represented right here, matches directly with the m. So we go to the point 2, comma 1. So 2, comma 1, that would be this point right here, and we label that point 2, comma 1. Then from that point, we apply the slope, and the slope is a value of 2/3. So therefore, we would rise up 2. So there's a rise of 2, and we would go over a run of 3. So there is my rise over my run. That represents my slope. And then this point would also be on the graph, and we would label that point at 5, comma 3. And once we have those 2 points, we would just draw them, connect them with a straight edge, and draw them in with our arrows. So box number 5 is a you try. It says, what is the equation of the line shown below? Write in, whoop, that says slope-intercept form. That should say point slope form, because that's the lesson that we're in. Point slope form. Okay, now for the sake of consistency, I want everybody to choose the point 1, comma 4. Remember at the very beginning of the lesson how we said that there could be multiple representations of the same line? So just for consistency, I want everyone to use the highlighted point, which is 1, comma 4. So write this in point slope form. Hopefully you got the right answer, but if not, here's the solution. So we begin by writing down point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We use the point that we've been given, which is x1 and y1, so I have 1 and a 4, and I plug those in. So I would have y minus 4 is equal to m times x minus 1. Then the only thing left to do is calculate the slope. So if I use this point, I could count all the way up to here. This would be my rise, so I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would be 7. And then my run would be 1, 2, 3. So my slope of this line would be a value of 7/3. That's the rise over the run. So therefore, the final answer that I'm looking for would be this. Y minus 4 is equal to 7/3 times x minus 1. And that is how you do the problem.